Hi everyone, I'm going to do another video in my series on teaching you MetaTrader. So without further ado, let's bring up the meta editor, clicking that button, and let's find, well, I've already got it up, but you know by now that if you want to bring up your script, navigate on the left, double click on it, and there it is. Okay, so this is how we left it last time. So if you remember, we created a variable, so it introduced a new concept, this idea of putting things in a box. And we also used a function to find out the total number of orders, and then we just printed it out. Okay, so it's still not terribly useful, but introducing some new concepts. Right, I'm going to introduce a few more this time. The end product's still not going to be very useful, but we're getting close to the point where we're actually going to get our script to do something. Okay, so let's carry on. The next thing I want to do is to teach you about some logical conditions. Okay, so what I want to do is do something, but only bother to do it if there actually are some orders present. Okay, so we know that the number of orders is in this variable here. So what I'm going to say is the following. If num orders is greater than 0, right? So it's basically saying if there's actually some orders, then I'm going to do something. Now the way you write that you're going to do something, you stick it in these curly brackets like this. And so then it's only going to do the code between the curly brackets if there actually are some orders. Okay, so it won't execute this code unless this condition is true. So it's conditional logic, it's called. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to create another variable. You know by now how to do this. I'm going to call it int, so it's a whole number, and I'll call it order index. Just give me a clue as to what it is. Okay, now what I'm going to do, I'm going to just write this and explain why I've done it. Okay, the orders in MetaTrader have an index. So the first order is actually index 0, and the second order is index 1. Okay, which means that the last order is going to have the index num orders minus 1. So for example, if there are 10 orders, then the last order index is going to be 9. Now this is something you're just going to have to get used to in programming. Things in lists or arrays are often counted with 0 as the first index. So it's something you need to remember. It's something you soon get used to. Okay, so I've put it in this box order index, the index of the last order. Okay, now what I want to do is I want to print out some information about the last order that we have there. Okay, so what I'm going to do is the following. I'll write it first and explain what it does. I'm going to use a new function called order select. Okay, now as you can guess, this selects an order to do something with it. Now you see it's giving me a helpful prompt. Now you see the first parameter in this function is what's called the index. I'm going to put order index in there. I'm going to put a comma. The second thing is how I want to select it. And I'm going to select by position. Sorry, that's my cat's just come in. You may be able to hear her meowing there. And I will explain what those mean in a second. Okay, so right. Okay, so what order select does is it goes through all the orders that are present and picks out the one for the index that you specify. Sorry, in this case we're specifying the last but one in, so the last order in the list. Now select by pos means select by position. There's two ways you can select an order. One is by using the index, which is what select by pos means, and the other one is using the actual order ticket, which we're not going to do today. Okay. Now this function, as I said, well, as you may have seen, returns a Boolean, which is a true or a false thing. So if we do Control F1, we can find out a bit more about it. That's interesting. Sorry, do F1, and it comes up with the order select, and the return is a Boolean. Now what that means, if you look at the return value, it returns true if the function succeeds, otherwise it returns false. Okay. Now you remember in this if statement here, it said it wanted to do something if num orders was greater than 0. Basically, if this statement comes out to be true, then it does the thing. Okay. Now this whole function here will return true if it manages to find this order, okay, and return false otherwise. If, for example, I put an order index which is higher than the last index there, then it won't find one. So you always have to check that you actually have managed to select the order. Okay. So what this says is if we can select the order successfully, which is the last, should be the last order there, then we're going to do something. Okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to print out some information on it. Okay, so I'm going to do an alert because we know how to do those. Okay, and what we're going to do is print out the and now I'll explain how order select works. When you do order select, what it does is it selects in memory one particular order, and once you've selected an order, you can then get at the bits in it. So, for example, I can now type order symbol, and that will tell me what the symbol is for the order I've selected. Okay, and so I'm just going to do a bit of punctuation, make it look nice, and then I'm going to let me write it like this: num lots. I'm going to print out how many lots this order is. So and that is going to be order lots. And then I'm going to print out the entry price, and that's going to be order open price. And then I'm going to print out the stop loss. That's going to be order stop loss. So you get the hang of it now, I'm sure. And the take profit is going to be order take profit. Okay. So let's just look at what we've written. So if there are some orders present, okay, then we're going to want to look at the last order, which has index num orders -1. Okay, we're going to select that so we can try and do something. So we do that. If that process is successful, then we're going to do this line here. So if that process isn't successful, it doesn't do anything. And what we're going to do is print out the order symbol, the number of lots, the entry price, the stop loss, and the take profit. So let's compile all that, and that all works okay. Okay, so now let's go back to a chart, my gold chart, and find the script, so my first script. So if we drop this in, it says total number of orders is 0. So it's not gold actually, it's pound Aussie. Okay, so now let's just put some orders in for the hell of it. I'm going to put 2 cells there, and I'm going to put a buy stop after that. So the last order I put in is the buy stop. So now we drop the script in again. Okay, so now it says total number of orders 3, and the number of lots is 0.1, entry price is 3097, which is, you see, is the buy stop, and no stop loss and no take profit. Okay, so there you go. There's a slightly more useful script. We can now print out some information about the last order that we have present. Okay, and so next time we'll take this process a bit further. Okay, I hope you found that useful. Bye for now.